My name's Jasper. I'm an American. I'm from Minnesota. I grew up and was raised there. I'm now an expat living in Mexico. So I moved here about 2 years ago. I live in a beautiful city called Oaxaca. It's in the southern part of Mexico, near the Pacific Ocean. It's very beautiful. It's very traditional. And then I wanted to make this my life here and stay here in Mexico. So I went back, I got my master's in TEFL, and then I've been working online as an ESL teacher ever since. I primarily do online, although I do have some in-person clients. We focus on like TOEFL prep, which is typically a graduate exam that most people need to enter universities in the US and Canada. And so that's primarily what we do at my school. And because I work so much online, I had this great idea to give you a presentation on interactive tools that you can use in your lesson planning. So I thought that would be really fun today. First of all, we're going to talk a little bit about today's audience. As you know, people have been changing a lot, especially this new generation. They've grown up with iPads. They've grown up with technologies. They're so used to having these tools that traditional lesson planning doesn't work as effectively on this younger generation of kids. They need that stimulation. They're used to constantly playing games. They're used to having their devices with them. And so learning how to incorporate that, I feel like is really crucial as an ESL teacher, and staying relevant in today's market. So we're going to learn how to use some apps, games, and digital tools in our classroom. So like I said, today's generation is younger and they've grown up with these apps, often where content is gamified. And so as a result, traditional teaching methods are becoming less effective. And research in fields like educational psychology suggests that attention spans are actually becoming shorter, especially when learners are accustomed to fast-paced and reward-driven experiences such as apps and games. All right, so to remain competitive, because we all know that the ESL market is very competitive, I think educators need to rethink and elevate a little bit their lesson planning. So that means integrating elements like interactivity, immediate feedback, clear progression, and goal-based activities. These are commonly found in, language apps like Duolingo, but you can also implement them in the classroom using a chart system or using a goal or just using the classroom whiteboard. For example, if I wanted to go into Google Classroom here, not Google Classroom, Zoom Classroom, and take a quick toll, that's something that we would be able to do and receive immediate feedback from students on what they like and what they don't like. So gamified strategies as well, such as point systems, challenges, storytelling, and rewards can also significantly increase the engagement, motivation, and retention of students. All right. So in short, modern ESL instruction needs to move beyond static lessons and evolve into dynamic learning experiences that align with how today's learners process information and stay engaged. So first, we're going to start with one of my favorite. We're actually going to do this together. So if everyone has a mobile device, or I'll send the link in the chat too, so you can try it that way. So this is one of my favorite websites. It's called Kahoot. There is a premium version, but you don't have to pay for the premium. I just use the basic version, which is free. And you go in here, you create your questions, you plug in the answers. It's very, very user-friendly. You create a whole game, and then you click Host Live. My students love this. They ask to play Kahoot like almost every single day. And so what's going to happen is on the screen here is going to appear a QR code, which you can scan with the camera of your cell phone, and there's also a website that you can go to join as well. All right. So if you're on your computer, you can go to www.kahoot.it and enter the game pin, which is up here, 5924136, or just scan the QR code with your cell phone. Okay, then you enter a nickname. All right, we got one player. Awesome.
Hello, everyone. By the way, don't forget that the link on the certificate is going to be provided at the end of the webinar. It's a beautiful webinar being presented by Jennifer. Congratulations on finally launching. And don't forget that the link for the certificate will be available at the end of the webinar. Make sure that you check us. Make sure that you follow us on social media. And of course, if you want to learn anything and even more with Jasper, she's very busy with courses online. So that's a good opportunity for you to do that. I'm sure she's going to perhaps leave her social media here too.
All right, thanks, Tacito. All right, you guys, so I'm going to get started here in about 30 seconds.
I hope, were you able to hear me a little bit? Because, my audio, sometimes I had my headset. But if you did not hear,
I think you were connected
to say everything again. I'm saying that she's doing a beautiful job. And if you want to learn more about Jasper and her courses and everything, make sure you follow her online, contact her, and the link for the certificate will be available at the end of the course. The link does not last forever, so people can share around. So as soon as you get the link, fill it out, so you will receive your certificate in a couple of days. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you. All right, you guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. All right, so all it is you're going to see the questions pop up on your screen, and you have to select which you believe is the right answer, okay? All right, so what is the main benefit of using interactive tech in ESL? Saves teacher time, increases student engagement, eliminates homework, or replaces the teacher. Ooh, we got 10 for student engagement. Very good, yes. All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, and SI took the leaderboard. Well done. All right, which skill can technology support most effectively? Listening, speaking, reading, all of the above. All right, the correct one was all of the above. Well done, you guys. All right, looks like Gordana made it on the leaderboard. Well done. What does interactive mean in this context? Watching videos, students actively participate, teacher uses PowerPoint, or silent reading. Students actively participate. Yes. Very good. All right, next up. Which tool is best for live quizzes? Kahoot, Microsoft Word, WhatsApp, or Adobe Photoshop? Yes, Kahoot is one of the best live quiz platforms. I'm going to show you a couple of others, though, too, later. So which platform allows collaborative boards? Padlet, Zoom, Excel, or Notepad? Padlet, which we'll show you more about Padlet later. Although you're not technically wrong, you can also do notepads on Zoom in the classroom. So, which tool is great for speaking practice with AI?
Onur eleme.
Duolingo.
Onur eleme.
No.
Düz yat.
No.
Ne olacağım sana?
All right, ChatGPT actually is really good for that. All right, what is the best way to use Kahoot in class? Only at the end, as a punishment, for review and engagement, or to replace all teaching? For review and engagement. So especially at the end of a unit, if you have a lot to go over with the students and you want to make sure they're paying attention, this is a great way to do it. Doing it at the end does kind of work sometimes, especially as a reward. Like, hey, you guys, if we stay focused and we get through these next 2 chapters, we can do a Kahoot at the end of class. And then the kids are like, yes! And then they love Kahoot. So it works out. It's a great motivator. Okay, and what's the risk of using too much technology? More learning, student boredom, better focus, distraction, and overload. Yes, distraction and overload. Unfortunately, with some of these games, you know, technology is not 100% foolproof. So sometimes when it doesn't work out, it can be very frustrating. Also, yeah, like getting the kids into the game and to join the game can sometimes take a lot longer than anticipated. Just to get them to join the classroom virtually even can be a struggle. But once they get the hang of it, they typically can join the 2nd or 3rd time pretty fast. So just allot yourself a little extra time, maybe the first couple times you use these in your classrooms. All right, so which activity promotes speaking? Watching videos, reading silently, interactive role play using apps, or copying notes? Yes, yeah, absolutely. Apps like Duolingo are great for especially speaking. All right, your students are shy. What technology can help the most? Anonymous polls, long lectures, paper worksheets, speeches only. Anonymous polls can actually help because sometimes kids will feel a little braver to answer something anonymously than in person. Okay, you want quick feedback? What should you use? Exit tickets on paper, live quizzes like Kahoot, homework essays, or exams? Yes, live quizzes like Kahoot. Awesome job, you guys. Students have low internet. What's best? Heavy video streaming, VR platforms, online games only, offline friendly apps, or simple tools. Yes, while ideally we'd like to do these online, we could also implement them in person, Family Feud style. Things like that would really get the kids engaged and interested in the lesson. And still keep it, kind of gamified so that they're engaged. All right, let's take a look at the leaderboard. Gallner's in first place with 8,000 points. So keep in mind, it's not only getting the correct answer, but it's how fast you get the answer. That's how you earn points. All right, what matters most when choosing technology? It looks cool, it supports learning goals, it's popular, or it's expensive. It supports learning goals. Well done. Okay, and how often should technology be used? Every minute? Never? Only for tests or balanced with other methods? Yes, yeah. Balance it with other methods. Okay, Gallner's still in first place. And what is the teacher's role with technology? Facilitate learning, replace themselves, do nothing, or observe? Yes, yep. Ultimately, it's a tool to help us facilitate learning. All right, you guys. In third place, taking bronze, 𝗍, well done. In second place, 𝗍 number 2. And in first place, we've got Gallner. Congratulations. Well done, you guys. Thank you for participating. That was a lot of fun. All right, so that is how you use Kahoot. I'm going to show you a little bit about how to set up a Kahoot in case you're interested. It's pretty easy though, like I said, very user-friendly. So you would click the blue button. You'd have to log in with a Gmail or Facebook or something like that. And then you click create, the little blue button. Click the Kahoot. You can also do a story, which is kind of like a cool comic book where it talks back to you. And then you go here, you can do a PDF. So if you have like notes for a class, you can just upload it to there and then the AI will help you generate questions. Or I just make mine from scratch because sometimes that's easier. So then here you would type your question, like maybe your question is, how many ESL tools are there? And then you can type your answers down here. You can type 100. You can upload a photo. Some of these are premium features, so you get like a certain number of free images, or you can use like the standard images for free. But if you wanted to use the other ones, you'd have to upgrade to premium, which is not super expensive. But again, I don't like paying for stuff unnecessarily, so I just stick with the free stuff. And it works just as well. You can also change the question type. So you can do true or false questions. You can do the one where they have to type in the answer, pin the answer, or maybe even do a puzzle one like this. It's pretty cool, where they have to put things in order, like in order from first, second, third, fourth. It's really cool. And then once you're done, you just click save here, which I'm going to erase this one. And yeah, and then it'll be in your library. And when you're ready to host it, you just click on the Kahoot and then you click launch Kahoot and it'll generate the QR code that the students can join from. All right, so that's my favorite. That's why I wanted to show you guys that one. The next one that we're going to go to here, we're going to go back to our presentation. is called 𝗲ground. 𝗲ground is very similar to Kahoot, but it's actually a little bit different. There's more variety, I feel like, in some of the games. For example, and there's a ton, you can choose like anything that someone else has made, and it's all completely free. For example, like maybe you're working with your kids on nouns and pronouns. So you would click on this one. Then you would click Play as Quiz. And just like in Kahoot, it'll generate a code that the students can join from. Play live. And you'll have to log in with like a Gmail account. But that's only as a teacher that you have to log in. If you're playing it from the student side, it doesn't require the students to log in. So in order to host them, you have to sign in with some kind of Gmail. And then you can do classic or mastery peak. The kids really like mastery peak. So what that is it's like a little map, and each time you get a question right, you move up a level. And you can set the difficulty at 80%, 90%, 100%. So if you select 100%, though, they have to get all the questions right before it'll move them up to the next level. So I try to keep it like at a happy medium, about 80%, because that can be really frustrating, especially for younger kids. And then in between the questions, it'll have the kids doing activities too. Like there's one called SWAT attack where they have to swat a bunch of mosquitoes, and it just gives them like a little break maybe from the academic stuff and just a chance to, to be kids and to mess around a little bit. So 𝗲ground's a great one. We can click start on this just so you guys can get a taste for it. If a couple of you want to join for a couple minutes so I can show you how this works, you'll go to joinmyquiz.com, then you'll enter the code, which is 874940, or scan the QR code again with your phone. All right, we've got Gordana in. Awesome. Perla, Sophia. I'm going to auto start this. Right. So it'll ask you questions. You answer the questions. When you beat a level, it bumps you up to the next one. Okay, so you see how the students are moving here? It also has an anti-cheating feature, so it can tell you if someone switches tabs, which isn't the most accurate because sometimes the kids maybe just like switched from the classroom, the virtual classroom, to the tab. So take that with a grain of salt. And, yeah. And the first one to reach Mastery Peak wins. Over here, you can see all the stats, the reattempts. I'm going to end the quiz here soon in about 30 seconds. So I can kind of show you how to navigate the results and things like that. Okay, so then it'll bring you here. It'll run you through who got first place. All right, top scorer. Oh, and then we've got SI taking in gold. Diamond, 87,494. Berlin, SI, most obstacles survived. All right, so then down here you can see exactly which questions the students were struggling on, and maybe you can kind of do a review with them on the ones that they missed, and answer any specific questions that they have. All right. So 𝗲ground, Kahoot, those are my two favorites. Continuing on, there's another website that I like. It's called WordWall. It's honestly just like online games, but a lot of people publish ESL content on there. So I wanted to show you guys that one. Again, completely free. You just search on here, for example, maybe past habits. So maybe they're working on the past tense. You want to work on that with them. Typically, I divide I'll divide them into like 2 groups or a team. If it's a smaller class, then everyone just plays for themselves. So when I was young, we blank in a big house in the countryside. So we would live, we used to live, or we lived in a big house in the countryside. And then you'll have the kids, especially if you're on Zoom, just tell them to like raise their hand. If anyone wants to raise their hand, you know how to do that feature. All right. Awesome. Okay, we got 1 vote for used to live. Anybody else? Savannah? All right, Seville says also used to live. And let's plug it in. Submit. That was correct. Well done, you guys. Okay. So, as you can see, it's a lot of fun. And there's a lot of different games, not just fill in the blank. Like, there's also wheels. The kids really like the wheels. So I'll put something like this on, and then I'll spin it, and they have to speak about the topic for a certain number of minutes. Or this one, for example, could be like sentence starters. So she is from San Diego, and then the students have to continue with the story. So that's a fun one too. Back to our presentation here. We've also got ESL games. Those are very similar to word wall. Let me show you here. I did not mean to close that. So let's go here. The only thing I don't like about this is that the students have to kind of do this one independently, like on their own screen. It's a little more difficult to do in a classroom setting, but it can be used as a reward system for students. So you click here, you go to where it says ESL games. And then there's a lot of different things, like you can do spelling games, you can do hangman games. The kids love hangman. And that's an easy one that you can all do together. So you can do play now. All right. So 80 to 90% of the time have breakfast at 9 a.m. It looks like it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters. Anybody want to guess? Let's think about our quantifiers. Maybe like often, rarely, never, seldom. What one would be 80 to 90% of the time? All right, do we give up? Give up. You did not complete the game. And we're back to the beginning. All right, so those are ESL games. Uh-oh. And let me redo my screen share here. So again, a fun activity to do with the kids. There's a whole library of just ESL stuff. So you click here where it says ESL Games Plus. You can filter it by grammar or spelling or speaking. And there's just a ton of free activities to do. All right, so onward. Next, we have something called Khan Academy, which I really recommend Khan Academy because it saves a lot of lesson planning time. All the lessons are already pre-made, and especially if like you need to go over something specific with the kids. And some of the kids are really visual learners, so doing videos and things like that really does help them. What Khan Academy does is, again, it's free. You can log in with like your Gmail, but you don't have to. You should be able to access the stuff without logging in. For example, maybe you want to do a lesson on plurals and possessives. You go up here, search, you search plurals and possessives, and then this will pop up, and it's already a pre-made lesson. So we can read through the information. Plurals are nouns and pronouns that refer to more than one thing. Possessives are nouns and pronouns that show possession. Then once you've read through the information with the students, you click next. It'll bring you to a video. Again, you got to check in on the students, because if you just sit here and play the video, they'll probably clock out on you and not be paying attention to a word you're saying. So you play the video, have them pay attention, take notes maybe. And then we go up next to the exercises. And we do these together. So, though Pablo Picasso is best known for his Cubist paintings, he actually experimented with a wide variety of blank over the course of his long artistic career. Which choice completes the text so that it conforms to the conventions of standard English? Styles and mediums with apostrophes. Styles and mediums with no apostrophes. Styles and mediums with an apostrophe on medium, or styles, apostrophe, and mediums. Any ideas? Should we take a vote? A, raise your hand. B, all in favor, or type in the chat your letter. Oh, we got one vote for A, one vote for B. Anyone for C? Oh, a lot of votes for B. Okay. B, 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 A, and D. All right, so most votes was B, so we're going to check that. That was correct. Okay, and the kids like this because it launches confetti and makes sound effects. So, all right, that is Khan Academy. All right, next we've got something called Padlet. So Padlet is kind of like Zoom, which we can use Zoom to like create Post-it notes and like a discussion board. Padlet does it a little more efficiently, in my opinion. It's recommended by a lot of like really Ivy League schools, like Harvard and stuff. They have their logo on the website. Like, yes, we use this. So I created a little Padlet so that everybody could type a comment here. I'm going to copy the link to this post in the chat, and then you can just log in. You shouldn't have to log in. You should just be able to type. And I want to know. So you go up to the top here. You click anywhere on the screen, and you can click add post before, add post after, and then you can just type your comments. Or in the bottom right corner, there's a little plus sign, post, subject. So, how is class going? All right, and we already have a couple comments logging in. So yeah, it's super easy. You can get feedback immediately. Okay, Asa liked the ESL games. That's awesome. Sana liked Wayground, Kahoot and Word Wall. Very cool. And you see how even in a huge classroom like this, we can all interact with one another, respond to comments, things like that. So it's really, really an awesome tool. All right. Yes, a lot for Kahoot. See, I told you would like it. It's my favorite. All right, and that is it for Padlet. Padlet has a lot of cool features. It doesn't just have to be a post. You can do like a picture. I did a really cool lesson one time, which was like writing for social media, and the kids had to go on here and publish their tweet. And they really enjoyed that. That was a fun activity. So things like that can really make, a lesson, especially if it's maybe like, maybe it is a ESL class where you're teaching them how to speak for social media. They could really do some fun activities on Padlet with that. Right, so back to our presentation here. We've got a couple more and then we will open it up for questions. So Quizlet is also another one. So lots of people create flashcards on here. You can create your own flashcards. So I regularly create flashcards for things with my students, and then you can plug it into something called a blast, which makes it like an interactive quiz. So for example, maybe you're teaching them nouns, you're teaching them about the house. So this is the living room. You're teaching them about the bathroom. And then you're teaching them about the kitchen, so forth and so on. Once you've gone through the flashcards a few times with them, you go down here, you click blast. It shuffles it into like an interactive quiz. Again, you'll get another QR code to join that. The only thing I don't like about this website is it's kind of slowish. But it's typically not too bad. Here. And log in with a Gmail, but that's only if you're doing it as a teacher. The student shouldn't have to. All right, you can also do quizzes, like make it multiple choice quizzes like this. And then start tests. You only get one free test per set of flashcards though, and then it wants you to upgrade to premium. So keep that in mind. I'd only use the tests like for studying. You can also do matching, or you can do blocks, things like that. So we're going to play a game of Blast. Okay, so the answers are going to appear here on the screen, and I have to shoot it with my clicker. So microwave, click on the picture of the microwave, boom. And you can have a large group of students playing this at once, which makes it more competitive. So bedroom, there's the bedroom, boom. Bathtub, that's a bathtub. Faucet, there's a faucet. And curtains, and so forth and so on. All right. So that's it for Blast. I'm going to close this tab because, again, it does make your computer a little bit slow. But if you load it ahead of time, you don't have as many issues. All right. So lastly, a couple more tools I wanted to go over with you, which we are running out of time. So I'm just going to go through them quickly. We've got Khan Academy, Padlet, Quizlet, Blast. That was the one I just showed you. Canva whiteboards is a lot like Padlet. You log into your Canva account, and you can also have the kids publish little notes, which is really cool because they can do clip art and upload pictures and things to Canva whiteboard as well. ChatGPT, I feel like we all know what ChatGPT is. It's, an AI generator. You can use it to not only generate lesson plans, you can ask it to generate you speaking lesson plans, which is what I use it for a lot of the time. I also use ChatGPT for like essay questions to generate essay questions for the students. And it's also a really good tool for generating quizzes and things like that. So ChatGPT, definitely, if you haven't already, get used to using ChatGPT, because I feel like a lot of the future involves a lot of AI tools like that. All right, next we've got the Zoom virtual whiteboard, which we're all on Zoom, so it seems like we all know how to use Zoom pretty well. Some of my favorite tools on Zoom are the emojis, obviously, because the kids really like that. You can also like do a poll, like, okay, if you're voting for A, send a heart to the chat, right? Things like that are really fun to do on Zoom. Next, we've got Classin. I don't know. Some countries don't support Zoom. So I've had issues. I have students like in China, and I don't know, for whatever reason, Zoom is blocked in China. So we have to meet on Classin. Classin is just another platform like Zoom. You can host your classes on there, things like that. And I like it because it does have an interactive whiteboard, similar to how you can annotate on the whiteboard in Zoom, like how I'm doing with the marker here. You can do the same thing on the whiteboard in Classin. And that's free too. There is an upgraded version, but again, you can use most of the basic features without upgrading. All right, so back to here. We've also got Google Classroom. Google Classroom is really nice because you can like respond to other people's comments. You can create a little classroom. You can upload. Oh, and I thought I made one here. You can upload, for example, assignments here, respond to comments. In fact, when I was in college, most of my professors used Google Classroom, and it was a requirement, to respond to 2 or 3 classmates' comments. And that kind of stimulates a lot of discussion. And a lot of people, they feel more comfortable maybe just talking online versus talking in person. So that can be a really good tool to help with shy students and to get them involved. All right. And then lastly, we got WordWall on here twice. My mistake. Okay. So in conclusion, integrating these interactive tools in the classroom is no longer just an option. It's an essential part of creating engaging, student-centered learning environments. As we've explored in this webinar, these tools can transform passive lessons into dynamic experiences, encourage meaningful participation, and support diverse learning styles. Whether through live polls, collaborative platforms, or gamified activities, interactive technology empowers learners to take a more active role in their language development. However, the effectiveness of these tools depends not only on the technology, but on how thoughtfully they're implemented. As TESOL educators, remember that our goal is to align these resources with clear learning objectives, ensure accessibility, and maintain a balance between innovation and pedagogy. By starting small, experimenting with different platforms, and reflecting on what works best for our learners, we can gradually build a more interactive and inclusive classroom. Ultimately, the use of interactive tools allows us to foster communication, creativity, and confidence, which are key elements in successful language learning. So thank you all for coming, and thank you for your participation. I had a lot of fun. I hope that you'll use these tools and reach out to me if you have any more questions on any of them, okay?